In the heart of British Columbia's brutal winter, where the Coquihalla Highway snakes through jagged mountains under a relentless blizzard that buries asphalt in snow and ice, transforming a vital trade route into a treacherous gauntlet, Jamie Davis, a weathered, no-nonsense tow operator in his 40s, with a grizzled beard and eyes that have seen too many wrecks, steps out of his Peterbilt wrecker, HR-50, at mile marker 127, where a jackknifed semi-trailer lies on its side in a ditch, its 40-ton load of lumber strewn across both lanes like a giant's spilled matchsticks, blocking the highway and backing up traffic for miles as headlights pierce the whiteout, and Jamie, barking orders into his radio with a voice rough as gravel, calls for his crew to move fast before the storm worsens. While Greg Mulligan, a 30-year-old ex-military driver fresh from Ireland's war zones, climbs out of HR-66, a 25-ton Century rig, his parka zipped tight against the -20 chill, his breath steaming as he stares wide-eyed at the chaos, muttering to himself that this is nothing like the training videos, his hands trembling as he grabs a winch cable, prompting Jamie to notice his hesitation and snap. "You good, rookie? No time for cold feet. Hook up that winch and get that trailer upright." Because on the Coquihalla, where black ice and 100-foot drops wait to punish mistakes, there's no room for error, and the narrator's gritty voice cuts in. Greg Mulligan, former Irish military, is the newest member of Jamie Davis Motor Truck and Auto. He's driven Humvees through ambushes, but the Cox 40-ton wrecks and sub-zero storms are a different beast. As Greg clips the cable to the trailer's undercarriage, his gloves slipping, the motor whining as the winch strains. But the trailer doesn't budge, and a sudden crack splits the air, the cable whipping free, forcing Greg to dive into the snow to avoid losing an arm, with Jamie yelling, "Shut it down! Shut it down!" As Greg scrambles to kill the power, the cable limp in the snow, and Jamie, frustrated but calm, says, "You anchored it wrong, rookie. Check the rigging first or you'll lose more than a hand." Because, as the narrator adds, on the Coquihalla, mistakes aren't just costly, they're deadly. And with traffic piling up and the storm closing in, Jamie's got no time for rookie errors. So they re-rigged the cable, Jamie pointing to the trailer's frame, saying, "Hook here, not the bumper. It'll tear right off." And Greg, nodding, retries the winch, the trailer groaning as it lifts, landing upright with a thud, earning a clap on the back from Jamie, who says, "Not bad, rookie. You're still breathing." To which Greg grins, "Barely." But the job's not done, with lumber still blocking the highway. And as the crew works under floodlights, Al Quiring, a grizzled 50-something tow veteran, rolls up in his 50-ton rotator, his son Carey 20s, cocky and quick, at his side. Al smirking, "Heard your rookies screwing things up, Davis. Need me to clean your mess?" And Jamie, chuckling, replies, "He's learning, Al. Help with the lumber." Because, as the narrator notes, Al Quiring's seen it all on the cock, and he's not shy about calling out greenhorns. So Al and Carey sling chains to load lumber onto a flatbed, Carey taunting Greg, "You ever sling chains, army boy, or you just here for the scenery?" To which Greg snaps, "I've slung more than chains. Try driving through RPGs," but Carey laughs. "Sandstorms don't jackknife semis. Keep up." And Greg, struggling with the heavy chains, feels the cock's weight, the narrator intoning, "The Coquihalla doesn't care about your resume. It's sink or swim," when a highway patrol officer interrupts, telling Jamie, "We got another wreck at mile 137. Tractor trailer spun out, blocking the southbound lane, forcing Jamie to split the crew, taking Greg in HR-66 while Al handles the lumber. Jamie warning Greg, "2 wrecks in one night? Welcome to the cock. Kid, normal's just chaos," as they roar north through the storm, arriving at mile 137, where a tractor trailer teeters over a 50-foot drop. Its cab dangling, the driver, shaken but unhurt, saying, "Black ice got me, thought I was done." And Jamie, assessing the wreck, tells Greg, "Rig the winch, anchor to the frame, keep that cab from going over. You got this?" And Greg, swallowing hard, crawls under the trailer, clipping the cable, the truck creaking as the winch tightens, the narrator warning, "One bad rig and the truck, and maybe the crew goes over the edge." But Greg holds steady, the cab inching back until a snap from the landing gear sends it lurching, Greg yelling, "Jamie, it's going!" And Jamie shouting, "Hold the winch, double up the rig, rear axle, now!" As Greg hooks a second cable, the winch screaming, pulling the cab to safety, The narrator noting, seconds from disaster, Greg and Jamie save the truck, but the cock's not done. So Jamie radios Al, who arrives at dawn with his rotator smirking. Nice save, Davis. Rookie didn't screw it up too bad. And they lift the trailer, clearing the lane. Jamie telling Greg, you did all right, rookie. Don't get cocky. As they drive off, only to get a call from base. Brandon's voice crackling. Fuel tanker overturned at mile 142. Sounds bad. And Jamie sighs, of course, telling Greg, gear up. Tanker's a whole new level of fun, because the narrator says, a fuel tanker spill is a tow operator's nightmare. One spark and the cock's a fireball. So they arrive at mile 142, where a 30,000-gallon tanker lies on its side, diesel pooling, hazmat crews setting up booms, the officer warning, this tanker's a time bomb. Move it before the wind shifts. And Jamie, directing Greg to use low-pressure winch cables, says, anchor to the frame, no sudden moves, as Greg, slipping on diesel-slicked ice, hooks the cables. A valve suddenly hissing, spraying diesel. Jamie climbing onto the tanker to tighten it, saying, that's why we move fast. Rig the second cable. And as Al's rotator arrives, they lift the tanker upright, Greg manning the winch with focus, Al shouting, easy, rookie, or we're crispy. The tanker landing with a thud, towed to a rest area where hazmat takes over. Jamie telling Greg in the cab, you held up out there. Not bad for a guy who almost lost a hand. And Greg, opening up, says, served 10 years, saw some things, got a wife and kid in Kamloops, trying to build something stable. Prompting Jamie to nod, keep the roads open, keep the paychecks coming, don't let the cock break you. But another call comes in. A multi-vehicle pileup at mile 130. 3 cars and a semi, and Jamie groans, no rest for the wicked, rallying Al, Carrie, and Greg, who arrive to a chaotic scene of crumpled cars and a jackknifed semi. Paramedics tending drivers, Jamie splitting the crew. Al, Carrie, take the semi. Greg, you're with me on the cars. And Greg, grabbing a hydraulic spreader, prees open a sedan's door to free a driver, his military instincts kicking in. The narrator noting, Greg's handling rescues like a pro, but the job's half done. As Al and Carrie chain the semi's unstable steel pipe load, Carrie slipping on ice, Al yelling, careful or you're roadkill. While Greg and Jamie clear a pickup, Jamie impressed, starting to act like you belong here, rookie, and Greg grinning, told you I don't quit. The crew clearing the pileup, traffic flowing again. But the cock's not done, calling them to mile 150 where a tour bus is stuck in a snowbank, its rear wheels over a ravine, 30 passengers shaken, the driver saying, hit adrift, slid off. And Jamie, ordering passengers off, tells Greg, dual winches, front and rear, you take the front as Greg rigs the bus, Carrie taunting, sure you got this, army boy? And Greg snapping, worry about your own rig. Jamie stepping in, focus, Greg, ignore the noise. The crew pulling the bus to safety, passengers cheering, but another wreck calls at mile 155. A flipped logging truck, logs scattered, the driver unhurt but rattled. Jamie directing, Greg, Carrie, chain the logs. Al, rotator on the truck, and tension flares as Carrie mutters, don't slow me down, rookie. Greg retorting, back off. I'm not the one slipping. Al barking, enough, work together. As they clear the logs, the rotator flipping the truck, and in a flashback, we see younger Greg in a desert Humvee, dodging a roadside bomb. The narrator noting, Greg's been through hell before, but the cock's a different battlefield. And back at the wreck, the crew tows the truck, Jamie pulling Greg aside. You're doing good, but keep your cool with Carrie. And at the shop that evening, the crew cracks beers, Jamie toasting to keeping the cock open and not killing each other. Greg and Carrie clinking bottles, Carrie admitting, you're not half bad, army boy. And Greg smirking, you too, kid, the narrator intoning. Every wreck's a battle, every day a chance to prove yourself. Greg's found his place on the highway through hell. And at home in Kamloops, Greg hugs his wife Sarah and daughter Emma, Sarah asking, rough night? And Greg grinning, still standing, as the narrator closes. For Greg, the cock's a fight for his family, his future, and tomorrow, the highway waits, the Coquihalla silent under snow, a relentless beast ready for the next battle. The crew's bond forged in chaos, Greg no longer just the rookie, but a warrior of the cock, ready to face whatever the highway throws next. Because on this road, survival is victory, and the fight never ends.